your socks! Hey!
The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast, now streaming on all major podcast platforms. A Till Valhalla Project ambassador. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast. That podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat with the crew. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? And make sure you go to the Lost Art website. That's the lostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about. If there's any way you can help us out, please do so. Also, big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things, and I want to thank them for allowing me to be an ambassador for that amazing organization. If you don't know anything about them, go to their website. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. Also, another big shout out to the Marine Corps League for allowing me to be an ambassador for them. They are an amazing organization, and if you're a Marine out there, I guarantee you that you're going to get something out of it if you go join the Marine Corps League. So please go check them out and see what they're all about as well.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a My Veteran Story with Michael Dick. But before we get into that, wow, I'm having a rough time talking today. Before we get into that, are you enjoying the episodes? Then be sure to go check us out, thelostart.podbean.com. Check us out, see what we're all about, and if there's any way you can help us, please do so. Also, big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. They're out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about that organization, go to their website. It's tillvalhallaproject.com. They are an amazing organization. If you can help them out, please do so. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the Marine Corps League. They are a great organization. If you're a Marine out there, I highly recommend you go to your local Marine Corps League, join up. Let's help support that organization, and let's get that camaraderie back that we may be missing from when we were in. Same team, new mission. The Marine Corps League, a legacy of valor. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Is familiar to us all. It is that feeling you get when you see a Marine Corps sticker on a car or home proudly displaying the Marine Corps flag. We know we can knock on the door and that Marine will be there for us. Despite our many years of service to different causes, we all have that common bond. We have all earned the privilege to wear the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. The Marine Corps League is the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veterans Service organization, with detachments in 1,150 communities across the U.S. Please take a few minutes to check it out. Visit today at mcleague.org or email tribe@mcleague.org. All right, with that, I got Mike here. Mike, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, shoot, man, I'm doing great. I get you on here and we get to hear your story, so life is good.
All right. No, I
So,
guess
yeah, go ahead.
I can't complain.
All right. Good. Well, hey, let's start at the beginning. I always tell everybody that, but let's start at the beginning. Like, where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about that, and then what led you into military service?
I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
It's Dolesburg is the name of the town. It don't even exist on the map. That's how small this small town is.
Wow. I don't
Uh,
think I've ever heard of a town existing that's not on the map. That's crazy.
uh, I come from a military family. We've served from all the way as far as I can remember and as far as I was told. We started serving in the military since World War I. And
Wow.
a lot of my family was big family, talking 12, 14 kids.
Oh,
So
holy cow. Yeah.
uh, my my great grandfather was the one that talked to me about the Navy. And then he he retired from the federal government after he did his obligated time during World War II. And growing up with him, it kind of led me to start looking at that. And then when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to reevaluate what I wanted to do in life. And I wasn't really geared for college fresh out of high school. Like I hated school with a passion, so it's like I was going to go to school later on in life. It's like,
Right.
well, with the military service, I can use the veteran benefits and get a full ride scholarship
Oh yeah.
and for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a big factor because it's I didn't want to have to go to school and start off with thousands upon thousands in debt. And just the war stories that my great grandfather was telling me and my great uncles
Mm-hmm.
from them. My I had a couple neighbors. They were they were former Marines, and when I was looking to go into the service, I was interviewing pretty much everybody and anybody I could that was one to figure
Right.
out what branches were the try to get the goods, the good, bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And because originally I was looking to go Army because I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to go to go to be a water purificator where I'm
Okay.
on the front lines, but I'm not carrying a rifle and
Yeah.
I'm supplying, not fighting.
Right. Right.
And and with the water purificator, I could get out, I could do my time and get out and work for the government as a water treatment plant operator or
Mm-hmm.
something with a little bit more future. And then if I chose to go to school after that, it was things like that that just led me to, because being from a small town, you're either farming or working in manufacturing, and it's like I need to get out and spread the wings.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. A lot of us are like that, come from a small town, and it's like, man, got to go do something else. So that's good on you for being able to do that.
Uh,
So yeah, go ahead and continue. So now, as you went to all the different recruiters as well, or
yes.
yeah, how was that? And like, what was the comparison of all of them?
Well, the Air Force recruiter kind of I already like my grandmother. She worked for the Air National Guard wing, the 173rd. I believe it's 173rd Special Operations Wing up in Middletown there at the Harrisburg Airport.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, she was part of the family readiness people. So she
Oh,
was
okay.
liaison between the airmen overseas and the family, keeping the
Right.
family updated and things like that. And they just their attitude, they would always seem like they're better. They always
Mm-hmm.
carried that cocky attitude, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not one for me. And then I was talking to the Marines, and the whole busting you down and building you back up, it's like that's not for me either.
Yeah.
And then it was the Army and the Navy, and the water purificator was a wasn't so much in the active duty side, but more of the National Guard. And then
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, I got to do active duty. So the Navy was the better choice,
Right.
and uh, I don't regret the Navy. I The only thing I regret the most is not uh taking advantage of everything that was offered to me when I was
Mm.
active.
Right. Yeah. 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 That makes sense. So, so you picked the Navy, and now you're come from a military family, so I'm sure they were proud and everything like that. But you're shipping off to boot camp. What was that experience like?
It was a lot. It was nerve wracking, honestly, because
Yeah.
it's like my first time actually being away from home, like not
Mm-hmm.
a week or a weekend, away. So it was
Right.
hard getting adjusted to that or getting hit in the face by that realization that that's the last time I'll see my family till I graduate.
Yeah.
So it was nerve wracking, definitely
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
And then you went to, was it Great Lakes? You went up there?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk a little bit about Great Lakes. So from the time you get there, right? Uh, Talk through kind of your boot camp experience. What was it like? Good and bad? Those types of things.
It was so pretty much the same thing as it is that gets portrayed about the Marine Corps. You get your DIs come up on the bus, then they just start yelling at you. And all it is it's a mind game. It's
Mm-hmm.
all it's just it's a psyche out, get you worked up. And it's I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase it. It's not near as intense as the Marine Corps side. Like
Yeah.
they just they're doing it to play with you. And they'll yell at you. My favorite part was the senior chief. We don't call them in the Navy. They're not called drill instructors. They're called recruit division commanders
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
or red ropes. Uh, he was a Philippine. I believe he was Philippine. If he listens to this, he's probably going to be mad at me if I messed it up. Anyhow,
Yeah.
red rope senior chief. He comes walk. It just reminded you from the scene of the Boys of Company C when the staff sergeant comes walking out and starts harping on them guys. And
Yeah.
the hardest thing for me was not to laugh because it was literally just a senior chief version of that staff sergeant.
Oh, that's too funny.
Or no, excuse me, he was a gunnery, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember exactly.
It might have been Gunnery Sergeant. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
don't know.
he still had that he talked with that same accent.
Yeah. That's great. Oh man. And then so what were some of the like good experiences? What did you enjoy about recruit training?
You definitely a lot of teamwork. Like we
Hmm.
did when I was in, we started doing integrated divisions, meaning co-ed
Hmm.
boy it's men and women together in divisions.
Right.
And then we was doing a fast track program. So instead of having a 13-week boot camp, we was pretty much on a compressed schedule, high speed, low drag, 6.5 weeks boot camp.
Wow. What year was it that you went to boot camp? Sorry.
2010.
2010. Okay. Wow, that's quick. Yeah.
But it was legit. It was high speed, low drag. Like if you messed up one thing, you was starting over from scratch.
Oh, no kidding. So there was no second chances. It was you got to get it. But your second chance was you got to repeat everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff they did repeat, and because nobody gets left behind.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing, and this is you got to be good at swimming. If you
Mm,
want to join the Navy, you have to be able to swim.
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, there's you're going to be on ships and boats and or at least the potential of it, right? So you might want to know how to swim. That makes sense.
Uh, I mean, it's not a big deal if you can't. It's just it's not going to be easy for people that's going through boot camp because you're going to have to lose time because you're going to have to take time and you're going to have to go to the swimming pool
Oh yeah.
every morning until you pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a generic. Everybody has to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I did it on the black. I passed with by doing the back float,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're
which
you'd had to do like tread water or float or whatever for
yes,
a minute or 30 seconds. I can't remember what it is, but something like that.
yes. It was you had to do one of four swims from where you jumped in at to the end of the pool,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then once you made it to the end of the pool, then you got out, went around, got in, and did the dead man prone float.
Mm-hmm.
You had to do that for 5 minutes, which was roughly like 3.5 to 4. And then what was the other? And then you just had to tread water
Mm-hmm.
for a couple minutes, and that was the level 3. And then there's 3 different levels. And uh, one thing that I wish I would have done, and it would have saved me a headache later in my Navy time,
Mm-hmm.
was while I was in boot camp, taking advantage of going and getting my second class swim qualification because
Mm-hmm.
it's a more advanced. Literally do the same thing as the level 3,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to do from one end of the pool to the other and one back to the, and then you got to do all 4 different swim styles,
Oh right.
and then you do the prone float again and tread in water, and then once you pass that, then you got your second class swim, and then your level 1 is the SAR, the search and rescue swim,
Oh
which
wow.
uh that
That's got to
one
be pretty intense.
it is from what I was hearing.
Is it like a course that you have to go to, like a week long, 2 weeks long, something like that course, or is it a just a 1 day type of deal?
I have no idea. The
Yeah.
second class was it was just an extra program that they offered for those of us that were wanting to just have a leg up
Yeah.
on our in our records.
Yeah. 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 Makes sense. Wow. That's cool. And now I got to be a swim instructor for the Marine Corps, and ours is structured a little bit different. A lot of the same stuff, but it is structured differently. I think well now I think there's water survival basic, then intermediate, then advanced, and then you can become an instructor. So we have 3 levels now as well, but it's a 2 week to become an instructor. It's like a 2 week long course, man, and it's whew, yeah, it's a pretty intense course.
Yeah.
So,
Uh
oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, my bad.
So, so no, you're good. All right. So, leaving boot camp, did you have family members or anything come up for the graduation?
I did. My grandmother came up as well as
Nice.
my mom, stepdad, and little brother.
Okay.
There's a 14-year age gap between me and my little brother. So,
Uh-oh.
uh, yeah, he was only, he just started, no, he was old enough to start kindergarten once I actually was out into the real Navy realm of things.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
I was a
You said,
gunnersman, mate, so I
y-
was blue water.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, talk to me about, you leave boot camp, you had to go to your uh, schoolhouse, right, to learn your trade. So, talk to me about the schoolhouse.
It was, it was pretty much structured the same as boot camp, but you had a little bit more freedom to do what you wanted to do on your time.
Hmm.
Like I was on in the whole program, so I was pretty much quarantined to the wasn't quarantined to the barracks, but I was stuck at the barracks for 8 hours a day.
Whew.
Uh, and then we had Liberty, every weekend or after an 8-hour day, we had
Yeah.
liberty and we were free to do whatever we wanted to do. And
And where was the school at?
oh, it was Great Lakes as well. So I literally
Oh,
just
wow.
went
So you
from,
stayed right there. Yeah.
yeah, I was there for 9 months between
Wow.
boot camp and school,
Boy.
apprenticeship school.
So you you experienced pretty much all the different weather patterns that happen up there in Chicago area.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you enjoy the winter up there?
Oh, I loved it. It was I had a lot of people in my division that were from like Florida, California,
Yeah.
places where they've never seen snow before. And a lot of people they would seen that they was on snow watch, we called it, where uh once it started snowing, a group of about 4 or 5 of us would get down and start shoveling the walkways and the
Yeah.
pathways. And people were like, "What's a snow shovel?" So I got to explain to people what a snow shovel was.
Oh, that's funny. It's funny how you think like you probably didn't even think twice about it, right? And then these other guys are like, "What in the world is it?" And you're like, "How do you not know what a snow shovel is?" It's just, for you it's just, "Hey, this is common knowledge, right?"
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So, what types of things did you learn in your schoolhouse?
Well, I wish it was more hands on, but the world we live in with technology, it was I literally just sat in front of a computer screen. I mean, I did some hands on. It was like magazine sprinkler systems and
Hmm.
the firearms, the various types of firearms, pretty much everything that the modern Navy has for a weapon was pretty much being absorbed.
Wow, that's wild. So, and you said it was 9 months. So you did 9 months there, going through every weapon system. Uh, how much time did you spend on each weapon system?
Well, about a week to 2 weeks per module.
Okay.
So uh, it was like 2 weeks on the VLS, which is the vertical launch system, which
Hmm.
at the time that was the most modern piece of equipment. Like the littoral combat ship didn't even exist yet. It was still
Right.
blueprints. And the Mark 54, the the gun or the cannon that's on the littoral combat ships
Yeah.
was
Okay.
still
Yeah.
they weren't even in the system yet.
Hmm.
So that was fun. Taking exams for the standardized test for advancement.
Oh, yeah. I'm
I
sure.
was when I was trained on the 5 inch, the Mark 54 Mod 2 and Mod 4
Yeah.
5 inch gun, the Mark 41 vertical launch system, and the various missiles that launcher is capable of hand launching,
Hmm.
storing, and the various types of Mark 41 VLS launchers, and of course all the small arms, the 50 cal,
Yeah.
the M4, the M16, the M14, the shotgun, the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pistol. And then we had a FATS lab, the firearms training simulator, where we
You
got
said
to,
fat slab. I like that.
well, that was the acronym.
Yeah.
That's what it was called.
Yeah. 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 I love the military and their acronyms. It's great.
It is. Some of the stuff.
It
Uh,
helps you remember things, though. That's
it
for sure.
does. Well, I enjoyed that part of it, that that simulator, because you got to play with the real thing.
Hmm.
There was no actual ammunition. It was all pneumatic operated,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you still got to get build the muscle memory of how to get the perfect grouping with the 9 mil, how to get
Right.
the perfect grouping with the M4, or well, we actually had the M16.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the M4, M16, the only thing different is the M16's a standard barrel versus a carbine.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
it. Uh,
But that's so you got to go basically it was simulating every weapon system that they had or that you guys trained on.
Pretty much. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't everything, like, because where they put there on apprentice, the the apprentice side, or the schooling side of Great Lakes, they tore down the actual gunner's mate apprenticeship school. So a lot of
Oh wow.
the well, it was called the greenhouse. Uh,
Okay.
it was part of going green program, so they ended up merging us with fire controlman A school or
Oh
apprenticeship
wow.
school. And
Yeah.
oh, talk about constant rivalry.
I'm assuming like rivalries at the barracks and pretty much everywhere you went, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But once you got out, and it was pretty much like high school banner
Yeah.
there at the barracks going through apprenticeship school. And then once you got out to the fleet, yeah, you had your occasional banner there on the fleet, but it wasn't as dramatic as it was back at the apprenticeship school.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. That's wild. All right, well, talk to me. You're nearing the end of your stint there at the schoolhouse. Did you did like is that when they told you where you were going to go, or did you know beforehand?
I actually got to choose where I wanted to go.
Very nice. Okay. Now, why
Uh,
was that? Out of curiosity.
because we were the highest scoring class the uh, out of the group that started.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very nice. So, well, you get to choose where you're going. So, what did you choose?
Well, I chose to stick to the East Coast.
Okay.
Uh, I got stationed on a destroyer out of Norfolk,
Yeah.
Virginia.
Okay. Very nice. All right. So the transition now from your schoolhouse, you're going down to this destroyer to check in and all that type of stuff. Like, are you nervous getting ready to go check into your first unit, the first ship? How was that for you?
That was actually pretty easy going, getting checked in and
Okay.
everything. Because before we could even leave uh, apprenticeship school, or leave that side, TSC Great Lakes is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, we had to send an email out to the gaining command, and then once we got an email chain going on, I had a point of contact reach out to me, and then we talked probably every day for a couple hours,
Oh,
getting
wow.
the getting to know, and we was doing group calls. He'd have the entire group talk to me, and we was doing like a meet and greet over the phone.
No kidding. Man, that's awesome. So,
So
and now is this with people that would be in your shop?
yes,
Same job. Yeah. Okay.
yes, it was pretty much everybody that was going to be part of my division there on the
Got
ship.
you. Man, that's really cool. Yeah, not every place does that. That's for sure. So talk to me about getting settled in, getting there, and kind of what becomes the norm once you show up there.
Oh, it's pretty much like uh, typical military manner.
Hmm.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
So, uh, when you check on board, you got of course, just like you would walk into a building, you got to come in. If the colors are case, you don't salute the colors. For me, it was after 0800 when I checked on board.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so had to request permission to come aboard. Went through that. At the time, my point of contact met me up with the quarterdeck, so I got to meet my point of contact in person, and then it was pretty much a Liberty weekend, and everybody was pretty much like in. It was a Friday when I checked on board, so everybody was in a
Oh wow, yeah.
their Friday head game,
Mm-hmm.
and I met my work center supervisor is what with my point of contact, and took me down to the our berthing,
Mm-hmm.
got me set up there, and then went and met my leading petty officer, my leading chief, my division officer, as well as my department head.
Okay.
That was pretty much all the first day, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was pretty because didn't have a duty section or anything. I was still just a new check-in and didn't even
Mm-hmm.
get through the full check-in process. I was pretty much allowed to just disappear for the weekend. So I spent my family came down with me, so I spent all weekend with them
Nice.
doing stuff in the Norfolk area. We went to
Just seeing the
Virginia
sights and
Beach.
things.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Got to we went down to Norfolk, Virginia, where or downtown Norfolk, where the
Yeah.
Nautical Museum is, where
Mm-hmm.
the Wisconsin's moored at. We went on board to Wisconsin and learned some things with that, and
Mm-hmm.
my little brother got some stuff for his kindergarten show and tell group.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really cool that you got to spend time with them like that. So that's good. So you spent the whole weekend with them, and then had to be back on Monday, I would assume.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then at that point, it becomes routine, right?
Yes, it does.
What is the normal routine for you living on the ship? Because you're living on the ship at this point, correct? You don't have
Yes.
a barracks room or anything. Okay.
No. I actually didn't get a barracks room until we went into the yards in 2012.
No kidding. Holy cow. So that was your
Uh,
first barracks room, I guess, experience was then, minus, being at your training facility, but in the
Correct.
fleet. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, go ahead and tell me what was the day to day like for you?
Well, it was 0600 was Reveille. Breakfast
Hmm.
was from 06 to 07. 7:15 was quarters. That's where we would group up in our locations and get our and game plan for the day, what
Hmm.
needed to be done. And for my first week and a half on board, I was pretty much uh, getting checked in, getting through all the hoops, getting in the system, getting
Yeah.
so that was pretty much my game plan for my whole first week and a half. And
Hmm.
then lunch was an hour and a half. We had an hour and a half for lunch.
Okay.
And then uh we had to clean. We had a 3 hour cleaning session. Because Lord forbid
Woo.
that CEO would see dirt.
3 hours of cleaning.
What it
Holy cow.
wasn't really 3 hours. It was like an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah,
But
but still, that's a lot.
yeah,
Holy man, I bet that ship was immaculate.
it was. I wish I could say that it still is, but I don't think the modern Navy takes the pride in their equipment like we did.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's definitely a little different now. Wow. So that was your pretty much your day to day and things like that. Now, how was living on the ship? It's your first time living on the ship as far as like your quarters and dealing with that. How was that for you?
It was a big change.
Yeah.
Uh, it was definitely, you couldn't be claustrophobic, that's for sure. Uh, because we were stacked three to a rack, and we had a stand-up locker, we called it, and it was about maybe half the size of a standard upright wardrobe closet,
Oh wow. Yeah.
and then we had a coffin rack. So instead of having a foot locker like the Marine and the Army use, our
Mm-hmm.
rack was our foot locker.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. So basically, you lift the bed part up, and then you had your stuff underneath.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Man, you could not have very much stuff.
Mm, you learn how to pack a lot of stuff and how to get things in a nice tight roll quick.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't do that, then I guess you're missing out on some stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that you are.
Oh man. Well, what was some of your experiences there on the ship, and and how long were you on that ship?
Pretty much my entire duration that I was active duty Navy, I spent just tad under 4 years there. I
Okay.
checked in September 2010, and I left in December of no, I left the Navy in December. I left the ship in November of 2013.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, well, talk to me about some of your experiences. I'm sure you went underway and stuff like that. Kind of walk me through some of the experiences you had attached to the ship.
Uh, my first underway was a joint warrior exercise with the British. I can't remember. There's three other navies we went out with. And that was going
Okay.
across the North Atlantic in November.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, that wasn't fun. That was getting storm tossed like crazy. We're talking 25, 30-foot swales. Just it
Oh
looked like you
God.
was in a old war movie. Waves crashing up over the bridge. Weather decks were being secured almost every day.
Wow.
Yeah, and then brutal cold.
Yeah.
Man, was it
Yeah.
cold. Uh,
Now, when it's like that and it's that rough, I mean, what is it like inside? Like you're down in the ship, wherever you're
uh,
either where you work or in the berthing or anything like
you're
that. What
pretty
was it like?
much like a human bouncing ball. Is the best way to
Okay.
put it because you you find yourself 1 minute you could be walking on the deck. Next minute you're walking against one bulkhead. Then you're over
Yeah.
walking on the other bulkhead, or your head's going up into the overhead, or you can barely keep yourself standing up when with the against the force of gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
It took me some time to get my sea legs.
Yeah. Now,
Uh,
now, as far as like for all the people that are new to a ship, right? Uh, Out of everybody that's new, how many people get seasick and like with throwing up and those types of things? Is it pretty regular or?
oh, it's regular enough that the Navy corpsmen actually carry motion sickness stuff like
Oh
as
wow,
stock on the ship.
no kidding. So as they're walking around, oh, here you go, pal, and take this.
Yeah, I was actually one of the few that I did not get motion sick. So
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I couldn't imagine like if you get motion sickness, you're on a ship like that and it's bouncing back and forth, man, it'd be a rough day.
that it would be. I mean, I had a chief. He just made chief right before I got on board,
Hmm.
and he was one of those that got seasick real bad. He
Really?
couldn't he couldn't get out of his rack when we was going
Holy cow.
on that trip because it was just that bad. He would just
Wow.
run and hide. Anywhere he had to go, he'd run and hide.
Yeah. Jeez. Man. Yeah, that's got to be rough. So, and then on that exercise, you're doing stuff with the joint navies. Did you work hand in hand with them? Like, did you guys, because you're on
We
separate
did
ships at
a
this point, but.
Uh, it was separate ships. We did a series of like mini war games,
Oh, I see. Okay.
like training. We did a bunch of different training exercises. Like
Hmm.
we did sub warfare, we did air warfare, surface warfare. Just pretty much
Very
a
cool.
bunch of simulations with our allies.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. Now, your role, whenever you're doing the simulations, you're doing all this stuff, kind of what was your role, and how did that work out for you?
My role, I was down in the 5-inch deep mag. So I was the one that would be humping the 5-inch is just like a big howitzer. So it's
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
a fixed round. It's not fixed ammunition. It's separate. So I was the one that was handling the powder and the 70-pound round, making sure
Ooh,
it was, yeah,
70-pound round.
yes.
Good God, that's like a Volkswagen coming at you, if you're shooting those out.
Well, believe it or not, uh, the 16-inch, but the battleships from World War II. If you
Yeah,
ever go find yourself in that area, take a trip down to the Nautical Museum in downtown Norfolk. It's
yeah.
definitely worth the visit because one of the exhibits is they have a 16-inch round, and on the other side of the scale is a 1960s Volkswagen Beetle.
Don't come
That's
out of pain.
the 16-inch round weighs just as much as that Volkswagen Bug.
Sorry, go ahead.
Uh, oh, I was saying the Nautical Museum down in downtown Norfolk. They
Hmm.
have a exhibit there that is it's a scale. One side of the scale has got the 16-inch round. The other side of the scale has the Volkswagen Bug from the 60s, and it's the same weight. They weigh the same, so it
Wow.
kind of puts a visualization of that's a Volkswagen coming at you from 32 or 13 nautical mile or 26 nautical miles away
Wow.
at 2,600 feet per minute or per second
That's
velocity.
woo. That's amazing that we're capable of doing that. I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, that's just insane that somebody was capable of coming up with it and making it work.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely a lot of science went behind that. That
Hmm.
it, the best sim it would the best way to describe the 5-inch round would be mm, a hay bale coming at you at about 2,500 to roughly about the same in velocity as a 16-inch.
Oh my God. Still, you don't want to get hit around that thing.
No,
Yeah. Holy cow, man.
no, and we actually had the most accurate 5-inch in the fleet at the time. Like
Oh
we
wow.
were point zero 0.01. Like that's how far off we was only a point zero 0.01. One
No
hundredths of an
kidding.
inch off the
Wow.
target.
That's amazing. So how do they measure all that stuff? When like how do they do I guess comparing throughout the whole Navy? What do they do?
Um, with a bunch of oh, it's pretty much a bunch of exams, like practical exams. Field
I see.
evaluations is what the Marine Corps always called them,
Oh yeah.
where you would have guys come out with clipboards and you'd run battle drills all day long,
Yeah.
and they'd be there with that clipboard marking down what your scores were, how fast it took you to do this, how fast it took you to do that, and that was kind of what we had, but
Okay.
not as intense. Obviously, not as intense, but same principle applied. We had people come on board the ship, and we
Mm-hmm.
would run general quarter drills. Um,
Oh, that's when they would basically go through everything. They're inspecting
yes,
everything on the ship. Okay, I got you.
yes, and the the perk was the ship with the fastest, with the highest score and the fastest completion times
Mm-hmm.
got a 72-hour liberty at any
Nice.
port of our choosing.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
And and for the test of the accuracy of the 5 inch, we had a uh, government contractor come out. They had buoys, sensor buoys,
Oh,
and it
okay.
was a they'd set it up, and we would drop five and make this big quadrant, and then out in the middle of the quadrant was the target,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to get out of a course of 150 rounds total.
Oh my God.
We was we actually had toward the end 6 or 7 hit the same spot,
No kidding.
one right
Wow.
after the other.
That's incredible. Wow. I I just I don't know. That amazes me. I don't know how in the world, you can be so far back with that and be so accurate with it, It's I don't know. It's beyond belief in my mind. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it was definitely the my best experience was and I have sheer disdain about it because it was Operation Odyssey Dawn. We were part of that. My first
Mm,
deployment, my first real deployment. We was
okay.
pulled into action there with Libya.
Hmm.
We was one of the first ships on scene bombing uh Libya.
Okay.
And what chaps me about that is it got derated. So instead of us getting a combat ribbon or a
Hmm.
combat medal, we got a NATO medal and a Navy unit commendation medal. So we had a special NATO and a NUC is what it's called.
But you didn't get a combat, even though you're sending rounds down range and doing your thing. I mean, that's, I would assume, considered combat, right?
Yeah, I would assume, but it got the we were supposed to it was actually supposed to be its own campaign medal,
Yeah.
and
Interesting.
the federal government actually was like, no, we're going to make it a NATO exercise.
Hmm. That's crazy. 'Cause like look back, I don't know if you look back at this, but like the guys that went to Desert Storm, right? They came back with an ungodly amount of medals and all kinds of stuff. And then you look at guys that, deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, things like that, uh, got a medal, maybe two medals,
Yeah,
not nothing close in comparison,
no,
which is crazy. Now how they
it
got all those
is.
medals, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff. So,
No, my heart goes out to the guys that was in Afghanistan, part of the Iraqi freedom and
hmm,
enduring freedom, because nobody got shafted harder than those boys did.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because Manning was at an all-time low, and I was
Hmm.
only in elementary school when the World Trade Centers were attacked.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I remember 9/11, and I
Yeah,
won't forget 9/11. I was pissed, and if it would have been back in the 1800s, I would have been signing up to go fight.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's Dad, do you remember exactly where you were? Or you said you were in school?
Yes, I was actually in school. They
Yeah.
called it. I was in elementary school. I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
Uh,
So you understood what was happening then?
yes.
Yeah.
It actually
Wow.
bothers me that there's entire generations now that have no idea about it.
Yeah. 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 And I'm assuming that schools are teaching it, but I don't know if it's been updated in the school systems yet. I have no
I don't
idea.
know.
And is families just sharing it and teaching and talking to their kids about it and stuff like that, you know? I guess I'm guilty. I should do it more, you know. Uh, Dang, you inspired me. Now I got to do it more. All right.
Well,
All right. I'll work harder at it. That's wild. So now you said that was your first actual deployment. So you did multiple?
I did too.
Okay.
Because we did an extensive yard. When we went into the yards, it was for our Half-Life update.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
we got a lot of system upgrades done. So we got more computers on the chip, and we got a lot of nice upgrades, things that made our lives a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, what and to this day, this is why I hate the Zoom Wall class destroyer. Too not enough analog. It's too digital.
Yeah.
But I understand where it's coming from because it was uh my entire time in the Navy was high speed, low drag.
Mm-hmm.
Do more with less. Try to find the most
Yeah.
efficient way to get the same thing done.
Right.
What
Yeah.
and but when you start adding electronics in, you start thinking there's nobody else that's out there that's going to be better than us. And when you start getting that mentality,
Mm.
it
Yeah, I can see
it's
that. Yeah.
it's a downhill. It just goes downhill from there because then
Mm-hmm.
you start getting the ego of, oh, we're invincible, and it's like if you allow yourself to think that there's nobody better than you, you're failing not only yourself, you're failing everybody around you.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah. And war has shown time and time and time again that it's not always the person who has the newest and greatest weapons or whatever. It's one how much somebody is going to fight, and how much gusto they
Absolutely.
have, and then how do they utilize the weapon systems that they have. They could be just as accurate with those weapon systems, and they could still hurt you pretty bad or win the war. I mean, we've seen it time and time again.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry for getting off topic there, but
No, you're fine. No, that's good. This is great.
uh because
So So as the ship, like when you say it's midway upgrade, they're like, are they taking apart a lot of the ship and like redesigning things as well?
it's not really that they're taking apart and redesigning, it's we're taking apart to get it to modern standards.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's like a retrofit. It's like restoring a car from the 50s, but putting a modern motor in it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And now when the ship's in doing that, you said earlier that's when you had your first barracks room, right, in the fleet. What was your day-to-day operations when your ship was getting fixed?
It was pretty much just standard routine. So I had to travel from Naval Station Norfolk to
Mm-hmm.
the BAE Systems shipyard there in towards Portsmouth. It was still downtown Norfolk address, but it was on 264 heading toward Portsmouth.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah.
uh, we had to go there. We had to be there by 6 o'clock, and then
Okay.
it was standard routine from 6 to oh, we was doing about. We tried to do the 410 schedule, so that was the compressed. We would work 10-hour days Monday to Thursday, and
Mm-hmm.
then have off Fridays, unless we was on duty that weekend or was on duty that Friday.
Right.
And we was trying to do that way, everybody had a chance to get a good weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked for about 2 weeks. And somebody had to ruin it for us.
Of course. It is the way it always works. Okay.
And then we went back to well, it was started to be a 40-hour work week, standard 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Monday to Friday, 8-hour day, standard routine. Well,
Mm-hmm.
then 8 turned to 10, 10 turned to 12,
Oh
12 turned to
God.
14.
Woo.
Yeah. And then our biggest drawback was last minute heads up and poor hindsight 2020. I stood port and starboard watch uh, pretty much a good stint of our yard period on the 50
Okay.
cal because I was the only one that had a current 50 cal
Oh
qualification,
yeah.
which I did not agree with having the 50 cal while they're Riverside because
Yeah.
of how close proximity we were to other buildings.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I we
It
had
was it was overkill for where you were.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely 100% overkill. And well, you ever watch a tracer round hit the dirt and then you see the tracer go off?
Oh
It's like
yeah.
I don't want to shoot one of them into the water because you never know where it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't ever want to have to be the one to explain to somebody that somebody's family up the river why their family member ain't coming home.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
But we had the 9 millimeter or standard M9 service pistol. And
Mm-hmm.
I told my chain of command, I'm going to shoot somebody. If I have to shoot somebody, it's going to be with the pistol over that machine gun.
Yeah. Yeah, good call. I mean, that makes more sense. Wow. Now, while the ship is in port like that, you guys are no kidding, like going and working on the ship while they're refitting and redoing everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
Standing
Okay.
fire watches and helping them with the upgrades. Kind of doing our own
I
like
see.
little upgrades. Like our first deployment, we realized that we needed a computer in the armory so that we could actually do our own thing and be on the grid, so to
Yeah.
speak. So while we was in the yards, we ran LAN and everything, so we could have internet and a computer in the armory with a printer
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah, it's important to have one that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. Oh man. So there was a lot of upgrades then, and it was there
Yes.
for how long?
We was there for a little over a year.
Oh wow. Okay.
We came in we went in May of 11 and we left in June of 12. And then I went out
Wow.
on my deployment and right
Uh,
before Christmas, my second deployment right before Christmas.
And it was on that ship?
It was on that ship.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about the second deployment.
It was not as bad as the first. The first one we went through 5 COs in a month. We were pretty much
Whoa.
the bad egg of the Navy there for a while. Like
Wow.
we made the Navy times for not so good times.
Really? Holy
Uh,
cow.
yeah, but and it kind of started out the same way on the second deployment, and
Oh no.
yeah, so it was like deja vu all over again. Well,
Yeah.
there I just double negative myself, but uh,
It's all we get what you're saying, man. Don't worry about it.
and that was the first thing I told our chief because well, we had a good chief when we were in the yards, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like the he wasn't really a chief that would growl at you when you messed up. He was more like the disappointed father type of chief.
Mm.
The
Okay. Yeah,
one that
yeah,
would look at you and be like, "Did you seriously just do that?"
yeah.
Uh, he got transferred over to another ship to help them out, and then we
Okay.
got a. And the problem is, a lot of the East Coast Navy is different than the West Coast Navy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, on the East Coast, you're always on point. You're always inspection ready. It's just because you
Yeah.
never know when a senator might be coming down the pier. You never know when the Secretary of Defense, the president, the vice president. You
Mm-hmm.
never know who's coming. Being as close as we was to DC, you never knew what was going to happen. So we was always, always, always inspection ready at all times.
Oh yeah.
So
Which
when we've
that's a whole other level of, stress that goes on people as well.
It is.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was manageable stress as long as you had a game plan. As long as your game plan followed through or fell
Yeah.
through, you was golden.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because the biggest thing you could do to get yourself in trouble and is don't look busy. If you're not doing busy work,
Yeah.
you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've sat and painted the same spot because I just ran out of something to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's too funny. You go back to that same spot painting it, and then you end up like the paint on that one is like this thick because you're okay over and over, over and over. That's funny. Now the second you said the second deployment was starting out that way, the same way as the first one, but what made it change?
RCO nipped a lot of it in the butt at the time because
Okay.
the CO for that we had for my second deployment, him and I knew each other from like he checked on board. He was a lieutenant commander at the time.
Oh, I
He
see.
and the new CO pretty much him and I grew up. I shouldn't say grew up together, but he gained rank at the same time I was gaining rank. So we both
Yeah.
like he made CO, I made second class, kind
Mm-hmm.
of kind of thing. I shouldn't
Got it.
uh and can, from the experiences from the first deployment, it pretty much was like as soon as he spotted it happening, he stopped it because
Now, what types of things were happening that
a,
made that?
a lot of fraternization between officers and senior
Mm,
enlisted.
okay.
The quid pro quo, that was what really got us in trouble in
Mm-hmm.
the first deployment was there was a lot of quid pro quo.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. And so once he got in and took over as a CO, he was just like, I'm not putting up with it at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good for him.
And oh, a lot of us actually agreed with the way he was running things.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was the good guy. Because it don't matter what command you go to. You're always going to have either a bad CO and a good XO. So the bad's
Mm-hmm.
going to be you always have the good, bad, and the ugly
Yeah.
in the
That's true.
upper echelon. It's just a question of who's going to be the good guy, who's going to be the bad guy, and who's going to be the ugly guy.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's always the command senior enlisted that's the ugly guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
ugly by looks, but just like attitude.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
an
kind of the
art.
nature of that job, right? Like
Yes,
that's just the way that that command, either master chief or senior chief or whatever, that's just the way that job is, I guess, held, right?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Uh, my favorite is the command master chief I had on my second deployment. he was by far for a senior command enlisted leader. He was the
Mm-hmm.
best one that I've met. Because he actually liked to keep. He always liked to put a face in a name. That's
Yeah.
just how he was. He wasn't a politician type of person. He liked to be friendly. He always kept an open door.
Mm-hmm.
If you needed just somebody to talk to, I mean, obviously you still went through your chain of command,
Mm-hmm.
but like if you was just walking down a passageway and you bump into him, he would actually hold like a 2 minute conversation with you. It wouldn't be just
Nice.
hi, Master Chief,
Mm-hmm.
a one-way conversation. It'd actually be a two-way conversation. Uh,
Very nice. That goes a long ways, man.
it does, and that was a big plus uh, that I've gathered there
Mm-hmm.
toward the end is because you always had command climate surveys. Always, always,
Yeah.
always. It almost seemed like every month we was doing one there for a while to figure out what we could do to boost morale or whatever.
Yeah.
Always wanting to, always under critique. And that was one of the things was in the past, it was a very one way thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
every conversation was always one way. And then with the new CO, XO, and Command Master Chief, everything started to be a two-way street. If you
Yeah.
need somebody, the open door policy was actually an open door policy. Uh, there was just a lot of pluses that came out of it. The CO that we had, I actually made second class while on deployment.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Okay.
he actually uh, gave me a challenge, the command count challenge coin, asking me
Nice.
to re-enlist in the Navy, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I had bad experiences. It was just the writing on the wall says that I was a kick-ass, take names type of sailor. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to be in the fight. You bring the fight to me, it's going to stop it with me.
Yeah.
Like I want to, if I have to get into a gunfight, I'm going to die upon a pile of empty brass before you take the guns out of my hands.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Type of sailor, and he, the CO actually liked that because I was my first week on board, I was already like groomed is the proper term. I was already groomed to be into the small craft attack team side of the anti-terrorism force protection thing.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and all I did is I grew, once I got my weapons qualifications, I went from humping ammo to I was actually a 50 cal gunner.
Yeah.
Uh, and just from muscle memory, it's how you make some of the greatest soldiers. It ain't if they're intelligent, it's muscle memory. You drill
Mm-hmm.
something into somebody's head so many times, they'll become the best at it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's very true.
And because you won't get the emotional reaction, it'll just be a react of let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, you want it second nature, when you're out there, something happens, surprises you, explosions, whatever. You want it to be second nature for the reaction time. That way you have a better chance of surviving whatever the situation is.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I carried a lot of that. And another thing too was I wasn't one of those that I wasn't a yes person. If
Mm-hmm.
I didn't agree with a certain order, I challenged it. And
Right.
that wasn't always the best type of leader to be because I did challenge a lot of authority that way. And I came off as a little bit of a douche by doing that. But at the same time, it made people, I always wanted to make people think of what they're ordering us to do before they actually ordered us to do it.
Yeah.
Put a little thought behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always believed in taking care of one another. And if there's a
Mm-hmm.
way I can make somebody's life a little bit easier by carrying some of that weight, I'm going to carry some of that weight. If
Yeah.
I can help somebody de-stress, I want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've carried my division through a lot of scrutiny,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just how it was. I always believed in being the umbrella for people,
Right.
but I
And
also wasn't afraid to send the crap that came down the pipe back up the pipe.
yeah, you have to have those people, so good on you for stepping up and doing it.
Uh, but it did cost me a lot. I did get in trouble a lot. Uh, Not like brig trouble, but getting chewed out a lot. I did get my ass chewed. Probably. So, sorry, pardon me on
No,
that
you're
one.
fine. You're fine.
I did get growled at a lot
Mm-hmm.
because I started challenging people that I shouldn't be challenging, officers, higher
Mm-hmm.
ranking people, higher senior enlisted people,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, the Navy kind of frowns on that.
yes. Well, what branch don't frown upon some junior guy
Yeah.
questioning authority
Yeah. Yeah.
or questioning an order? They all that was the thing is even in boot camp I was like that. I did as I was told, but I always wanted to do things like in my kind of way,
Yeah.
and I don't know where that stemmed from, and I never could get broke of that.
Hmm. Well, it's not always a bad thing. It's just might be a bad thing at a certain, specific time,
Yeah,
depending on the situation.
but I mean, looking back, I kind of do wish that I'd stayed, did another term or
Mm-hmm.
enlistment, another full enlistment. Because to be honest with you, here in about another 6 years, I could be fully retired. 20 years
Mm.
in,
Yeah. That's true.
and uh, but I couldn't. Going through what I went through in those four
Mm-hmm.
years, it kind of I couldn't do it again because I was looking forward. What really chapped me was on the surface side of the Navy, we had the enlisted surface warfare specialist pin.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started out in the fleet, it wasn't mandatory yet. So
Okay.
it was something that you worked up to. You've earned it.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and so I devoted myself to that. Like I spent countless hours up at night going
Mm-hmm.
and bribing people for a signature. Like I'd go and buy a
Right.
can of Coke for somebody just to get two signatures on one item.
Yeah.
Uh, and then secretary then or then an instruction came out saying that it's going to be mandatory for all sailors to get a warfare device in an X amount of time when checking
Oh,
into a new
wow.
command. Well, once they made that mandatory, I took my book, put it up in the rack, and I never touched or up in the bookshelf, and I never touched it again.
Mm.
And I
Well, they
pretty much,
turned something that was a pride thing
yep,
into well, what we do nowadays, we give trophies to everybody, you know?
yeah. And I got ridiculed a lot for that because they're like, I was at the command for well over that window.
Mm-hmm.
And I got questioned almost every day. Where's your ESWAS pin? I don't want it. Where's your ESWAS pin? I don't want it. Well, it's not a matter of a want. Navy says you have to get it. I'm like, well, the Navy screwed up by telling me I had to fucking get it now. When I wanted it, I wanted it for the pride. I want it because I earned it. When you make something easy to get, nobody
Yeah.
understands what it's like to earn it.
True
Then they
statement.
feel it builds a sense of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another reason why I couldn't do another term or do another reenlistment because the entitlement was just getting more and more and more, and I don't deal well with entitled people.
Yeah.
Uh, that's the worst thing you can do is put an entitled person next to me because the entire time they're talking, I just want to knock them alongside the head.
Oh man, that's funny. So you end up okay, so you're not gonna reenlist, you end up getting out. Now at this point, like where did you go? What did you do? Did you go back to where family was or
I did go back where family was. I went back and nice, I had a good chunk of change in my pocket. So I was trying
hmm
to buy a house or, I was trying to get established somewhere. Uh, I went and enrolled into a community college that offered a trade class. So I went and got my associate's degree in HVAC through
Oh
Harrisburg
nice.
area community college.
hmm
Uh, I worked full time while going to school full time,
Woo.
and uh, yeah, so Monday to Thursday, I would go to work. I'd be up at 4:30, quarter till 5 in the morning.
hmm
I'd go to work. I'd leave work, go to class from 5:30 to 9, 10 o'clock at night, Monday to
Oh my
Thursday.
God.
Uh,
Wow. Good for you, man. That's
and I
dedication right there.
uh, I still graduated with a 3.33 GPA.
Wow. That's awesome. Golly. Good for you to be able to do that. That's a lot of dedication. Work full time, school full time, no time to rest. None.
Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's
Yeah.
if I didn't get tasked to help the family over the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I was glad. I sat down. I actually had a career counselor that helped me get geared to process out of the Navy.
hmm Okay.
And the first thing he did was say, because when I went into boot camp, I signed up for the Montgomery GI Bill.
hmm
And the career counselor that I got on my latter end of my contract was like, hey, before that window closes, get the post 9/11 GI Bill. He's like,
hmm
go to the VA website, elect to take the Chapter 33 post 9/11 GI Bill. I'm like, why? He goes, if you plan on going to school, it's extra money.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you'll get money. They will pay for your books. They will pay for your classes. They will give you money every month to show up to class.
hmm Yeah, it's a good deal. It's really and they just upgraded some of the stuff now. One of the things I think is there's no time limit on it now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They changed that in 2016 or 17, I believe. They
Yeah.
made it to where it's a forever and it's
hmm
anything transfers. So whether I used my entire 36-month allowance
hmm
or if I used if I didn't use any of it, whatever was left as a balance is
hmm
still able to be transferred to spouse or kids.
Yeah. 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 Now the I also heard that they and I don't know how true this is. I got to look it up, but um man, that went right out of my head. GI Bill. Oh, there was I guess they've extended the I guess the amount of classes or amount that they would cover, like where you could go beyond your bachelor and work on your master's and stuff like that. Uh, so you would have enough to complete your bachelor's and go to your master's. Something weird like that. I don't know exactly what it was.
Well, from my understanding, it was always like that from the get-go. It was just based on how much schooling you wanted to do. Like I had to take a leave of absence from the school due to a job that I had at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I was on track to have my associate's degree in a year and a half
Right.
because I was going to school spring, summer, and fall.
Okay.
Uh, and you can get a bachelor's in 2.5 years by doing the same thing, by keeping yourself fully engaged in school,
Mm-hmm.
meaning full time each semester as well as summer classes. You can get up, you can do a bachelor's, you can do an associate's in a year, year and a half. You can do a bachelor's in 2.5, and you can
Yeah.
do a master's in 3.
Hmm. Wow.
But you got to devote yourself. And there was never a credit limit, uh, but there was a credit minimum. Uh,
Mm. Okay.
Now, the credit minimum applied to how much monthly allowance you was going to get. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. You had to be
they
considered full time.
to get the full amount, yes.
Yeah.
Uh, so for me, I had to do a minimum of 6 credit hours a semester to get the
Okay.
full allotment, which that wasn't hard to do at all. I actually ended up taking extra classes, extra courses, just so I can maintain the full allotment. So my associate's degree, I actually have 87 transferable college credits. So I have the
Oh, wow.
same credit levels as a bachelor's, but I only have an
Mm-hmm.
associate's on paper.
No kidding. Now, can you take that and apply it to like go to a school, apply that, and I guess fast track the bachelor's?
Yes, actually, my job, my trade specific classes, no, they don't
Okay.
transfer, but all my gen eds do.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Got you.
which
Hmm.
that was a big plus.
Yeah. 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 For sure. Wow. And now have you been doing HVAC work ever since, or?
No, believe it or not, I have struggled to get a job in the HVAC world since I had a degree because people don't want to pay for that degree.
Oh, yeah. 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 That makes sense.
Yeah, like
Wow.
be honest with you, uh, I have struggled more to find a job within that degree field than I have done anything else.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's crazy.
like I've had
So,
interviews. I've done interviews. It's just what I was wanting, they couldn't match.
yeah.
The average HVAC apprentice is starting out at around $15-16 an hour,
Yeah.
which is low end in today's terms.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's somebody that doesn't have the degree you had, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. But if you're walking in and have a degree, your apprenticeship it would be different than the guy that starts with no knowledge whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
so
So
now
what did you end up doing as far as work? What are you doing?
I am driving a truck for a family business,
Nice.
driving a
Okay.
commercial vehicle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very nice. Yeah, I like it. I like it. And you're where are you at currently?
I'm currently sitting in the bunk. I was actually just out in your general area speaking, well, time zone anyhow. I was actually in
Yeah.
Illinois, down in the outskirts of Chicago
Oh, no kidding.
at a place unloading organic soybean oil.
Oh, okay.
So, uh, which here's another thing that was nice about the post 9/11 GI Bill. It paid for my CDL school.
Nice. Okay.
and it paid for all the indoor. So when I went and got my CDL, I got a Class A with tanker, hazmat, and double triples endorsements.
Okay.
The GI Bill paid for the permit, paid for the license, and paid for the endorsements,
No kidding.
as well as gave me, and it was a 6 week class,
Yeah.
and gave me full monthly allowance as well.
Wow. Holy cow. That's awesome. Shoot, I might as well look into that.
They also
Interesting.
have another program that the VA offers too is vocational rehabilitation. So, like, if you got laid off from your job and you couldn't find another one, the VA will actually help you go back to school, pay for your school with like a grant type setup. So, like, if you didn't have the
I
GI
see.
Bill, they would help you get a job. Well, they'd put you through school and help you get a job at the same
Oh,
time.
nice. Yeah. Wow. See, there's some pretty good programs out there.
That was something I didn't even find out till I sat down with my county VSO and started getting some benefits rolling,
Yeah.
the disability benefits going with them, and
Yeah.
started talking some of the stuff.
Interesting. Well, dang. Well, there you go, man. I always ask everybody as we get toward the end of the podcast, looking over your time that you spent in the Navy, over your whole lifetime, what are some like maybe words of wisdom from you? Just something that you would like to share with everybody.
Just because it gets hard don't mean you need to give up. The harder you
Mm,
push, the harder it pushes, you just push back. It's one of the biggest things that I've learned growing up is if it was easy, everybody'd want to do it. If everybody
mm,
took the easy way, you would have nothing. It's always best to work hard and earn it. Ye who earn something holds. You got to stand for something.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
Very good. That was good, man. Yeah, I like it. Well, Michael, thanks for coming on and doing this. I appreciate you. Thanks for your service and everything that you've done. And it was exciting getting to hear your story. So I appreciate you sharing it.
I appreciate your time and giving me the opportunity. So
Yeah, you bet, man. You bet. Well, let me do the outro, but don't hang up on me so we can talk after. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, you need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. No, Michael cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies that you serve with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, one last time, Michael, thank you. I appreciate it. To all the listeners, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Ton Tavern, birthplace of the Corps. We as Marines hold this history close to our hearts. Wouldn't it be spectacular if the establishment was born again? The Ton Legacy Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3, is taking the task and is looking to the Marines to once again save the day. Help the Lost Art podcast in raising funds to help get the Ton built once again only 100 yards from the original establishment in Philadelphia. We are looking for Marines to donate $25 representing the upcoming 250th birthday of the Corps. Spread the message and help establish the Ton, a place for Marine brethren to gather and remember our historic beginning. Go to the Lost Art GoFundMe page and donate today. The Ton Legacy Foundation, reestablishing our birthplace.